you do roll call?
Mayor Tripp,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mewburn,
Here.
Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Ross,
Here.
Commissioner Goff,
Here.
Commissioner Langley.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome any visitors. And the protocol for public comments is if you want to make comments when we get to that section, just raise your hand or just motion us and we can get to you. We will do that. At this moment, we'll bow our heads for prayer. So we're going to prayer. We're going to prayer today, giving thanks for the blessing you've given us. We're going to prayer and asking that you be with Commissioner Davis as he navigates through this very difficult disease or that virus that we have. We ask that you be with him to bring healing and to guide him to where he needs to be so he can come back to us. So we pray for him and his family. We pray for those who are maybe sick in our community that you touch them, lift them up so they can get back to normality. And so we pray for them. We pray for the board as to make decisions that will better the town, that you're leading guys in the direction you want us to. And all things we do, get it correct. In Jesus' name, pray, amen.
Amen.
With that said, next thing we do be pledge allegiance. So if you would, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to
to the republic for which it serves,
one nation.
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
justice
for all. So thank you for that. The next is approval of the agenda. Mr. Manager, do you have any changes you want to make?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. It's as it is.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by
Yeah.
Commissioner Ross. Vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
At this time, part of our agenda is public comments. Is there anyone in the public would like to comment? If so, speak out right now and just introduce yourself. Hearing none, we'll close the public comment portion of our agenda. Next is presentation report from the auditor, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. We do have April Adams here. I believe she's online with Sherry Beckert and going to give us an update on where things stand currently with the audit. As you are aware, it is past the deadline that was extended due to COVID. So that's where we're at. We're finalizing the details of that, and I'll hand it over to April at this time.
So good evening. Hear and see me okay?
We're good.
Thanks. So as Matt said, I am here tonight to provide you with a status update on the town's June 30, 2020 audit. It's both a financial and a compliance audit. So we're doing procedures over the grant funding that you receive as well. As Matt said, the audits usually due 4 months after year end, being the year end of June 30th. So it's usually typically due October 31st. But due to COVID, the LGC did extend that deadline to January 31st, 2021, just for this year. But being that it's February and we haven't issued your audit, you are officially considered to be late. And what that means is basically if we do finally finish your audit, we will have to submit an amended contract and provide an explanation as to why the audit was late and what is going to take place or what is the plan for next year to be on time. So the delay of the audit is basically just the significant amount of turnover you've had within the town, especially in the last 3 months, or actually it was after your fiscal year, but during the months that the audit starts to take place, you know, the finance officer position left, the deputy to the finance officer position turned over. And just to add on to that, the town manager position, turnover as well. There's just no institutional knowledge there to help ease in reducing some of the requests. And so as, we ask for explanations of why accounts may have changed from one year to the other. It takes quite a bit of research in order to provide an explanation. And that's just one example of the many, many requests that we ask during the course of an audit. I am happy to report that we have received a significant portion of what we've asked for. But there's just, things that are trickling in at this point that we still need in order to begin the true drafting of those financial statements. And we are this year, we're engaged to draft financial statements. And that, that process takes about 3 to 4 weeks. And so until we get every last bit of the initial requests, I'm not going to say that once we get all those requests, there may be further questions is what I mean by that. But once we get all those initial requests, we'll be able to really dig in and start that process of drafting those financial statements. And so I can't really give you a prediction of when we'll be able to do financial statements until we do get all those items. But we are hopeful that we can get those items here in the next week or two, and then, be able to issue this audit sometime in March. And that is really all that I had for you guys. I'll be glad to take any questions or discussion or however you want to handle it.
Do you have any information on the outcome of our prior year audits?
So we issued last year's audit, the June 30, 2019.
Correcto, yes.
As far as I know, that one's, been accepted by the LGC. I believe that it was submitted for the GFOA certificate. So I think last year's audit's fine.
Okay, did we have any issues with the last year's audit? Do you recall?
Only that it, wasn't issued until January of 2020. And that was also considered late in that year. In 2019, the town took on the responsibility of drafting the financial statements instead of the audit firm, which is the proper direction to go. But that just took a little longer than I think Rob had anticipated. And so that delayed that audit.
Would you say that there are any parallels with this audit and last year's audit?
Parallels in
the reason that it's late, it's not on time?
No, I wouldn't say that. Last year, Rob had taken on additional responsibility to write those statements. And so that was last year's delay reasoning. And this year, you just don't have anybody there that had any experience with the information that we're trying to audit. They all came in after year end and then trying to provide us information on the previous 12 months.
Okay. So you're saying that Rob, everything Rob did was pretty much on time. Is that what you're saying?
Do I think he was properly conducting
Correcto.
operations, the financial operations and accounting for the transactions correctly? Yes.
And the reason we were late the prior year again was what now?
In the prior year, he took on the responsibility of drafting the financial statements. So all the financial activity gets captured in what we call the general ledger. You take those ending balances and create a set of financial statements, which I think in your case is probably around 150 to 200 pages document. And he took on the responsibility of drafting that for the first time himself. And it's not an easy process. As I said, it takes us, 3 to 4 weeks in totality. And we do it all the time. So it's just a tremendous undertaking that he took on, and it just took him a little longer to figure it out.
Thanks, April. Appreciate that.
Sure.
April, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. Who's doing the financial statements for this audit?
You guys, the town of Ayden hired us to audit in the current year. And that was part of the initial plan before Rob left, was to hand it back over to us to ensure a timely audit. But with the transition of all the positions, that hasn't been the case.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So, April, my concern is when would you get the data from Aiden information to begin your 3 to 4 week process? So right now, as soon as that we can get, if you start today, it's going to be mid-March, which would be our board meeting in April. So what is the time frame of getting this information to her that should be completed? Manager or April?
We had a discussion this morning, Mr. Mayor, and I believe the outstanding issues are one of the grants, and Amy's also here. She can answer some of that because she's the one digging into those. And but there's two outstanding issues that I'm aware of. One of them has to do with the balances. Our water and sewer is still out of balance. And they're trying to track that down. If it was a small amount immaterial, we could move ahead, but it's somewhere in the $60,000 range. So that's where it stands right now. They're trying to reconcile that and trying to get some final information on one of the CDBG grants.
And then there's just other accounts throughout the balance sheet where we've asked questions about changes from current year to prior year and what those represent. Or if the balance had stayed the same and we thought maybe it should change, just trying to confirm that it should have stayed the same versus not.
So what I'm hearing, there's no reconciliation that's going to occur within a short period of time. I guess I was asking, what is the time frame? Do we have a time frame that by this date, all information will be handed to her? Because it's evident, I would think, that April has designated or has indicated the information she needs to complete the audit. And so I just want to know, I personally think we need to set a time frame. I mean, we have traveled this journey a while, and I think, we just need to know as a board, when will it be completed?
I agree, Mayor, and Amy is on here. I guess she's listening in, but and so is Joanne, and I believe I was under the impression we would have basically all the documents to them by now, and it just hasn't happened. So I can't get the explanation as to all the other what they've told me and when it's going to get done. It's up to unless I go in there and try to do it myself. And I mean, honestly, that's not what I'm here to do. Amy, can you comment on that?
And I did forward some grant information to Britton this afternoon, hoping that will clear up the 2 grants in question. I do have to pull some actual invoices out and a couple of journal entries I have to chase down to get the original documents. I'm really focusing to have everything to them by the end of the week or the first of next week.
So could we put a date down and say by today is 8th, by 15th, 17th, that we'll have all the information to April?
The 17th will work
Is
for
that
me.
possible,
Yes, sir.
ma'am?
Yes, sir. The
And-
17th.
And yes, so from my perspective, and I'm not managing the town or whatever, but my perspective, we need to put resources in. That means working the weekend to get this data to April.
Mr. Mayor,
I think we have traveled this journey too much.
and I
This
agree.
is
Yes, sir. I agree with that. And they have been coming in on the weekend. And I think Joanne has even asked to come in on the weekend.
okay. So February 17th, that's the deadline. Is that attainable?
Yes, sir. We'll get it done.
All right. So April, you got all these stuff to them that they need to get. So it's very clear right now what they need from you to have that done by April 17th.
It should be, and if it's not, we're happy to communicate it in any way they need. What the list of things is. They've got a list of what it is in a way that we are sharing information in a portal. But if that's not easily determinable to them, and we're happy to try a different way, just make a simple list, anything they need.
Yeah, I would appreciate a simple list. That way there'd be no reason not to have the date done. Because that will be my expectation. So I think we rode this horse too far, and we're gonna have. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to have a timeline that has to be done by this date. And if it's not done by this length, then we're gonna have some real opportunities to deal with. That is my opinion, and I'm sorry. And then the board may be feeling different, but Mr. Manager, that is my feeling.
April.
Any questions, board members?
Yeah, I just have one more question for April. What kind of penalties are we looking at on being late on this audit?
So the only enforceable thing that the LGC can do, well, there's several things they can do, but where the direction I see them taking this, given that you do have a reason for being delayed or late, with turnover, we see it time and time again. It's nothing new to them. I think if you were to be trying to issue some kind of debt that the LGC would have to approve, they wouldn't allow you to do that at this point. So that's one major thing of having your audit on time, is for them to allow and approve you to issue debt. The other thing they can do is, I think if you're mismanaging the town in some way, they will ultimately come in and take over. I can tell you, you're not in that situation at this point. That's happening to towns that aren't charging correct rates to their enterprise system or taking care of their utility systems and those types of things. So I don't think you're in that bucket by any means. But they will be asking you as a board to respond to the situation with explanation as to why you can't get your audit done on time. The mayor and I did discuss last week that, you had several years in this situation. I think there's an obvious lesson learned here. If ever in the future you have turnover in the finance position, it's best to jump at that point within a month or two to provide the resources, not to, incur an additional delay. As soon as a month lapses without a finance officer in a town of your size, you're heading for trouble. It's just too much on one person to let a whole month lapse.
Thank you.
And just for clarity for the citizens involved, just let me know what we're talking about. It's about record keeping, basically. It's about reconciling accounts. And what she's talking about, we were unfortunate had the financial director leave in June, I believe. Then his assistant left in July, a few weeks later. And we brought in a new financial director, which makes it very challenging not having anybody there to bring up to date. And the timing part was the worst time at all, right at fiscal year end. I mean, if you're going to have your financial director leave, you don't want the worst time they can leave is the middle of financial in the fiscal year. And so that really caused some issues, and it's basically about reconciliation. And once you get behind 1 month, you get behind another month, then it cascades. It's about staying on top of reconciliation, your counts, everything, matching up, make sure the things are flowed. So the audit's not done, so we'll see, but I project that financially we are fiscal stable. I think that it's going to show that everything's where it needs to be in the balance sheet and in the portfolio and the profit loss statement. However, that said, the state government does give us guidelines when it's due. And it's like taking a test. You know the date, In fact, this, you know the answers. You got to do is fill in you know the questions. You got to put the answers in. So it's nothing hard, but it's time consuming, and I think that is what. And you need people who has worked those accounts beforehand. And so for the citizens, you know, it is not what we want. You know, we need to be more fiscally responsible. I would say that. However, we do get monthly financial statements, and we do look at our checkbook balance, so we do know what the fiscal capacity the town of Dayton has. But you know, it's not making excuses, and I don't want to make excuses, and it is embarrassing. But with that said, I'm like Amy. I'm like April. I don't believe it's going to. We'll get slapped on the hand from LGC, and there's no doubt that's going to happen. And she's right. What they can do if it's financially wrong or financially off, they can come in and run this town. They have statutory rights to do that. And so this audit is very important that it is right and that we show we are fiscal responsibility, because the outcome could be they could be the board. They can run this town until we become fiscally responsible, or the town can. We're not there. I'm not saying we are. So I'm not worried about that. But we'll be fine once we get this information in place. But we should have it done sooner or later. So I do apologize to the citizens. It's not what I expect. It's not what I'm about. It's not what the town's about, for sure. So it is embarrassing. So
Mayor.
I do apologize.
Mayor.
Yes.
I have a question also. At the end of the fiscal year, are there documents, April, that could be provided to you as some of these things close out, instead of, you know, trying to compile them all in one packet?
Yes. I think the short answer is yes. We provide a portal with a laundry list of items that we need for the audit. The large majority of that list is the same from one year to the other, meaning, you know, we want to know what are the accounts receivable, the outstanding balances, you know, due from the citizens for your utilities. That report can be run as of the date, you know, as of June 30th and uploaded to the portal. So yes, and then, you know, some things just have to be created and developed all throughout the next couple of months. But yeah, I mean, there's things for sure that can start to be uploaded long before even June 30th.
Which could circumvent some of this time lag.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. They do.
Commissioner Goff, one thing I suggested to the auditors and Amy was that we have an audit team, and that's what I've used in the past with certain people, and you divide and conquer, and they're responsible for certain elements of the audit and getting certain elements of the information together. And that's worked well in the past, but again, we did not have quite the level of staff, but I think there's other ways we could have brought in some help, and we should have brought in some extra help, in my opinion, in this case, but it would have cost us money, but we didn't investigate that far enough.
Yeah, these are extenuating circumstances. I realize that, but then again, going forward, if we can compile documents
I agree.
as those things close out and can precede those, instead of, you know, trying to compile everything at once and, you know, get those over to April as they're available, it might alleviate some of this.
I agree.
I had a comment at this point.
Sure, Amy.
I have spoke to, you know, Lucia with the billing, and I've spoke with HR and accounts payable, and we will have a list together that when it gets to year end, that they know exactly what reports they need to pull. And then we will be able to have those, you know, ready within the 30 days after the close of the year. Of course, you know, all the information is not available at that time, but we will have everything pulled that is available and ready for them to be uploaded.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I think we got a plan of action, and expectations. So hopefully, I'm sure it will be executed, and hopefully by mid-March we have something finalized. So that is our goal. There's no other questions for April or the manager. Again, thank you, April, for your time. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your willingness to help us through this period of time, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully in the next 4 or 5 weeks, giving us a presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next part of the agenda is consent item, and it's the minutes from January 11th, 2021 board meeting. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem, second by
Yes.
Commissioner Ross. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
There's several action items to follow through. The next is the financing for the NC 102 sanitary sewer extension. Mr. Manager, you want to lead that in that first?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Basically, where we are with this is there's a resolution we're asking you to adopt. We also have to have a conference with the LGC and to kind of discuss the project in general, and that's coming up in next week. It's a remote meeting. It's pretty much what you do when you borrow money. You conference with them. And so, but the first step tonight is to go ahead and we're going to be seeking private financing for this project. And Amy has done some research basically on 15-20 year paybacks for a 20-year revenue bond or just installment financing. We're just looking at different options there, but we wanted to go ahead and get the resolution to finance this extension, which you guys have talked about many times in the past.
I have a comment regarding this, where we at right here. And that's it has to do with eliminating the existing poor water quality conditions down on East Avenue. And for those who don't know, we once had a Head Start down there, and they had to close because of the poor water conditions. And that went on for quite some time. And when I asked about it, I didn't get the truth about it. As a matter of fact, when I and this is just for you guys to know, that bothered me greatly because those were our kids down there, and I had been down there myself, and the water looked like some light colored iced tea, to put it a good way. And this went on in this town, and I feel that our management and some of our public works people were aware of this and said nothing. If I wasn't informed about this, we would have never known this. And I hope and pray that nothing like this ever happens again in this town. I don't know whether it's because we didn't want to put forth the funding to get it fixed because of where it was located, but I can't rule that out. But that, to me, that was what you call a dirty trick, to have our children washing their hands and using that type of water for such an extended period of time. I'm done. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any comments or questions in regards to? Yes. Any questions, comments? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem made a motion.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Langley. Any discussion? Voting on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
and Commissioner Langley. The next is adoption of resolution in the service of Black History Month. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, or should know, this is February is Black History Month. And so we'd like to make sure that we honor that by this proclamation. Or resolution, I should say.
Is there any questions on the resolutions? Any comments?
I have a comment. I'm wondering I'm wondering if the town has done anything to prepare to honor Black History Month in this town other than the resolution piece.
Mr. Manager?
No, sir, I don't know what's been done in the past, but I'm open to ideas and suggestions going forward.
I think, is it, okay, well, let me put it to you this way. I think that our website needs to contain some type of information to make the citizens aware of the magnitude of having a Black History Month in this country, and for a town as small as Ayden to participate, I think it's a great thing. And there's so much that people need to know when it comes down to the contributions that people that look like me have made to this great country of ours. And the resolution is great, I applaud it. But I think that there's some other things that we could do. The website is one of them. And we've had so many like inventors. It's kind of like bananas when you start going down the list for those who've had a chance to look at the list. And I think we should take some additional steps, not big steps, but just additional steps to make people conscious of everybody's talking about One America. Well, you know, we have contributed a lot here, and maybe something in the newspaper, usually for Dr. King, and that was last month, but the newspaper people usually honor that. Some of the towns and cities, as the manager probably know, honor that by putting an ad in and letting them know how they feel. But I think we need something on our website, or maybe some flyers, and for those who look down a narrow tunnel, you probably think that I'm out of bounds, but I know I'm not. Maybe some flyers, posters, or something. And I don't write off having, just like we do when we honor the great Dr. Martin Luther King, to have maybe something on hang up on some of the same way we do Dr. King's Day.
Sure.
I think that would say a lot for us as trying to move center so that everybody can be justly represented. Thank you.
I agree. We'll work on that. Get started right
Thank
away.
you. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second,
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Commissioner Ross.
Goff.
Voting on the motion. Commissioner Goff. Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
and Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
The next item is the appointment to the Ayden Library Board. Mr. Manager?
I think Sarah is handling that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Sarah?
Yes, this is just a reappointment. The Trinette Green's term expired in January. She's only had one term on the library board, and she would like to be reappointed for another term.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Langley?
Yeah.
Who's second?
Commissioner Ross.
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 Commissioner Ross, second. Okay, vote on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
and Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
The next is appointment to the Pitt County Human Relation Council. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see in your packet, the Pitt County Board of Commissioners recently established a Human Relations Commission. So they're looking for representatives in each of the municipalities. And so this is something that a new initiative that they're doing, and they're looking for representation from us. The Human Relation Council is one that's designed to look at the quality of all peoples and how we're working with other races and other people of other faiths and things like that. So it's a good thing.
I like to make a nomination for Mayor Pro Tem for that board position.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Lang for Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it myself if nobody else wants to.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Commissioner Goff seconded. Any discussion?
No, I'd like to make a
Vote on the
comment,
motion.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Sir, yes, I'd like to make a brief comment. Keith Cooper and I, we spent a great deal of time, he more so than myself and some other people across the county, to try to pull this piece together so that we would have a broader representation and a broader understanding of all the people of Pitt County. And I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. And I appreciate Commissioner Langley for nominating me, and Commissioner, was it Goff that seconded?
Mhm.
Goff for seconding. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're gonna vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next item is alternate date for the April 19th budget workshop. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This one, we probably need to sharpen our pencil a little bit more. You can come up with a date, but we might want to wait till we get further along down the road before we set a date. But there was a conflict with that one. And we probably will have enough of them to where we can work out another date down the road. So it might be a little bit premature to set one right now.
Okay. So we just want to move on. No
Yes,
action items.
please. Yes, sir.
Okay, board good with that?
Yes, I am. I am.
Okay, good. Next are items for discussion. First one is to Steve Smith, Best Cathedral of Fresh Fire Ministries Incorporated, voluntary annexation request.
And I'm gonna try and share a screen just to give you a little better reference. Let me know if you guys can see that map.
Yes.
Yes. Got it.
As you mentioned, we do have a annexation request from the Beth Cathedral of Fresh Fire Ministries. Property is about a 5-acre tract located on Jolly Road, just to the south of our district park. And just a little back history on that. Back in 2018, we did issue a conditional use permit to them for the operation of a church with a daycare and after-school program. Since we did adopt our new UDO, that use is now allowed by right in that district. So they're still in line with our zoning, and they are looking to move forward with a voluntary annexation. And as you'll recall, the first step in that process is to adopt a resolution that you should have in your packet to direct the town clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the petition. And then we would come back to you in subsequent meetings for public hearings, and then ultimately adoption if that's the route the board chooses to go. And I did want to show that map just to show you in reference. I'm not sure if it's easy to see or not, but we do have water and sewer both available at that location, and that's why they're looking to annex into the city so they can be provided those services. And I would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for the planner? Where is our town city limits at compared to that property?
They're not shown on this map, but of course the park is in the city limits. The actual right of way of Jolly Road is in our city limits, and the properties across the street, the concrete plant, as well as the Freightliner facility are all in the city limits. So this would be a contiguous annexation.
Is the church that's on the corner in our annexation?
Yes, I believe everything on the western side of Jolly Road is in the city limits, all the way out to, I believe back where it turns and goes back to the highway. So everything in between Jolly Road and NC 11 is currently already in the city limits.
Okay. And the funeral home is in the city limits too, I gather.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Planner, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How long have those properties been in the city limits? May I ask?
Let
You
me
think?
Longer than I've been here. I can't give you an exact date, but they were I would say probably a good 10 years, if not more. The ones on the western side of Jolly Road between there and Highway 11 have been in the city limits for some time. I'd have to research the ordinances, but I could get you a date back to you.
Okay. The reason I asked the question is because I had been contacted before that there were some people that stayed in that area before you get to where the Best Cathedral of Fresh Fire Ministries is going to be located. That they were turned down at the polls, that they couldn't vote because they were told they were outside the city limits.
Yeah, and that's
why I asked.
right. Yeah, and on if you're going north on Jolly Road towards the park, most of the property on the right-hand side of the road is not located in the city limits. Most of those big farm tracts, and there's a few houses scattered through there. So whenever the city limits were adopted many years ago, those properties were not included at that time for some reason or another.
Okay, this was like about 4 years ago. So I'm kind of in limbo about that. Okay, appreciate you.
Sure.
Any other questions to the planner? And so what's the request? This is for discussion only, I guess.
Just to adopt a resolution to direct the town clerk to investigate the petition.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Goff, second by who?
Commissioner Ross.
Commissioner Ross. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, we're gonna vote on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley. Okay. Next item of discussion is application for LFNC Fellowship Program. Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. As you see in your packet, that's the Leadership for North Carolina Development Program through the School of Government and through the local UNC Chapel Hill. And I was thinking we should try to apply for this because of the subsidies and the area that we're located in. It could cost as little as $13,000. And there's a lot of grants and projects that we're working on. And I thought that this would be a good experience for a student and maybe gain a lot of knowledge and also work out for us in terms of some of the projects and getting some grant monies and working on with the different departments and doing different things. So I was asking for your blessing, for lack of a better term, to move forward and see if we can get a grant.
And the grant will pay for totally for the student?
Yeah, with the exception of our portion right now, which they're saying in this packet that I gave, it would be as little as $13,000. If it would be more, we could turn it down, but that's what I would be shooting for.
And what school they come from?
UNC Chapel Hill, I believe. There's
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Definitely is.
Any discussion and comments?
I'm for it.
Isn't this a
Definitely
two-year
for it.
commitment? So the first year, our obligation would be perhaps as little as 13,000, but isn't there a significant cost for the second year that grant doesn't apply to?
No, there's no obligation beyond the first, it's a fellowship program. There's no obligation beyond that.
Okay,
I think it's 6 months, actually, if I remember correctly.
That's correct. That's correct, Mr. Manager.
okay.
Do we need a motion or we're just saying yes?
I don't need a motion. I just need your, saying you're on board and you support it.
I'm on board.
I'm on board.
On board.
Yes. Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Thank you.
First, before you go on, who will that person report to, and will that person have time to help them through this process?
As of right now, when I write it up, if we're going to be using them for economic development, and as I look into it more, it may be that they kind of a floater. Maybe they're working on economic development, and then maybe a little bit somewhere else. So they're going to report to me because of that reason. Unless we have a specific project where they're needed for a little while, then they might be reporting to a department head. But for the most part, it'd be, I think, reporting to me.
Okay. All right, sounds good. The next is staff departmental reports. Mr. Manager.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. One of the things that I wanted to talk to the board about was I was kind of excited about doing a townwide cleanup and organizing that in the spring. And that would probably be late April or May. I've talked with some organizations a little bit about it, and like the Chamber of Commerce and the Kiwanis Club. And I'd like to get some other volunteers from the community. We're going to put this on our social website and seek volunteers and kind of do a town-wide, or at least the entrances coming into the town cleanup. And I thought also we might want to do like a beautification project in that month too. So these are things that, I was just kind of contemplating, and I wanted to get the board's thoughts on that. And I know you've kind of done some things similar to that in the past, but I just wanted to get your feedback on that.
Any comments?
I certainly would be in favor of something like that. It would show the town that we have some pride, or the residents of the town, that we have some pride, and that we as town officials, are seeking to be proactive in that. There are even other agencies or organizations to consider would be the Boys and Girl Scouts, because they're always looking for projects in order to earn merit badges or other type of awards programs. So, I think this would be a good shot in the arm for the town.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think we just need, if we decide to go with it, that we need to advertise it properly and get as many people involved as we can. Yeah.
Well, we'll start putting it on our social media in the next week or two, so we can start getting some volunteers as we put it together.
Okay.
Several of the town projects, there's an update of some of the projects in your packet, starting on page 49. I won't go into a lot of those, or just if you've read it and have any questions for me, but everything's going along pretty well with all the projects we're doing. And we've made a lot of headway in getting a lot of things resolved there. We've also switched IT providers, and that's going well. It was a little bit of a headache at first, but it's gotten a lot smoother now, and everything's going very well there. We have sort of a little bit of a convoluted system here, and we're kind of switching away from that, where we were renting a lot of our devices before, when it was VC3 and even through CyberShark. So we're not going to be renting those things anymore, so that we can And we also need to upgrade some of our equipment too. So we're working on that. The development of the budget, we've started that, working with the department heads. And you know, the biggest thing with it is that we need to get those numbers updated. And that's why the audit process and getting our year-end estimates and getting our financial reports out to our department heads are very important. So we can build our year-end estimates and then start going from there on our financial projections. And I'll be doing a lot of those financial projections myself. And that's all I have for my report, Mr. Mayor.
Any question to manager on his report?
I just have a question, Matt. We discussed earlier in the week the AMI situation. You're going to get back with me on that. Is that something you're still working on to get back with me on, or?
I can answer that, and I'm glad you asked that. Where we're at with that, and I've asked them to come give a report, is they're starting to go on their final phases of the installations. And as far as what the capacity of what those AMIs can do, they can do quite a bit, as you guys know. But where they're at with the being able to do everything we talked about with your smartphone they're not there yet. And we'd have to pay an additional amount of money for us to get to that point. And I don't know if that was something the board wanted to do. But I think the thing to do is bring them back in here and talk with the whole board and see what you think at that point in time.
Well, that's kind of way off track of what I was talking about. What I was talking about is the infrastructure for the AMI. We currently have in our billing system that shows the current residential usage over each calendar month based on going back a year on the current bill. And I was under the impression when the AMI system was introduced to the board that we would have a way to monitor the use of the residential electric to where when we see a spike or we see an increase of usage, we could notify the customer that they may have a problem and they're using excessive energy. And seeing that we're into that now, I'm wondering, do we have that tool? And if we do, why is it not working?
The explanation that I got, and I will drill down on that some more, but is that we decided, now this was, I don't know if the board was involved with this decision or what, but not to go that deep in what we were paying for. The basic installation was going to be first, and then we were going to go to the next level. Now I can research that more and find out, but that's what I've been told.
I wasn't, well, the only thing that I recall when we were sold, when we were introduced to AMI and it was the presentation, the only thing that we were told to improve would be to add water. We were buying the AMI system and I was under the impression, and I may be wrong, that automated monitoring infrastructure means that we have a system in place that shows excessive use or excessive energy use.
Right.
So where we have something in place that will, a red flag, and it's an algorithm that shows the previous year, whatever, and then weather and everything, of course, comes into play. But I don't believe we have the monitoring, and I don't know why we pay so much money for that. And if we do have the monitoring, is that we don't have the personnel monitoring, or what is our problem is what I want to know.
That's a good question. I mean, like I said before, we can monitor certain features of it. For example, when it goes off and on, and we can monitor it real time, looking at it on the computer. But it doesn't send a signal that says, okay, there's a spike in usage. I understand that there may be a program that can do that, but we just did not purchase that program, part of the program. That's what I've been told. I can research it some more.
Then I feel, if that's the case, and I feel that the board was misled on this presentation for AMI.
I wasn't here then. I don't know. So
my recommendation is to bring the representatives AMI to discuss this with the town board, and then come in and explain to us what we did purchase and and the how much we paid for that purchase and what we did not get in regards to that. I'm like Commissioner Langley. I think that we should get more than what you explained to us right now. And so they need to come in and give a presentation of what we got. And first of all, they need to explain to us exactly what we purchased, what we got, and then what is the feature of that software or that automation that we can purchase to help us manage our citizens in regards to things like that.
Okay.
No, we bought an automatic system. You would think, I would hope, we'll see that it's just more than a meter reader.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
what I was
I would
going to
recommend bringing
do.
them in.
My plan was to bring them in March and then be able to answer a lot of the questions and be able to find that closure that, you know, you had about some of those questions that were brought up back then. And in the meantime, I'll research it some more, but that's initially the response that I got, even talking with the people at AMI.
I think the other
Okay.
thing we can do is go back to that point in time where they made the presentation and actually review what was presented to us,
Yes.
to where, you know, we were all on board at that time. So, you know, we need to reevaluate what was said then
You're right.
and have that available for when they come to see us to explain that presentation.
Right, and I agree, and I'll do that. And we're not done with the project yet, and that's one of the things that we shouldn't close this down till we get 100% of what we agreed to. And so we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions to the town manager? Any questions about any department's report that you want to ask?
Hold on a second, Mayor, if you would. Let's flip a few pages here. This would be for our ED director.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, good. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. Hope you all are.
I am, sir. I am. Where are we with the food commercialization project at this time?
I'm not familiar with that. And I haven't been actually brought into that.
So he talked.
No.
I'm sorry. He talked about Mallory.
I was talking about.
Mallory, you there?
I'm here, yes, sir.
I
Hey,
thought you said
Mallory, how you
director. I'm sorry.
It's okay. How you doing this evening?
Doing well. Good evening to all you mayor commissioners. We're in the process where the commercialization center financing has been applied to the state budget at a little more than we originally thought. So it's going to be tied up in the budget process for a while, kind of in a holding period. We are meeting on a regular basis. There is a lot of enthusiasm. There's also a lot of federal enthusiasm based on projects similar to what we are considering our food commercialization center. In my opinion, it probably has a very positive future ahead. It's just a matter of timing.
So it'll be safe to say we're kind of pretty much where we were last month. There's not a lot of movement on it.
Nothing's changed so far since last month. Yes, sir.
One thing
Okay.
I'll make one comment in that we really need as a group to come together on this and lobby our representatives. And because this is not going to pass on its own. And there's a need for us to really lobby that and really come across and with them and stress the need to get this thing passed in the budget, because this is the long session and we've got some time to do that, but we have to start now and really lobbying them.
Okay, I see Mr. Denham, number 5 and number 7. Is that information that's privy only to you?
Excuse me, I don't have my paperwork, sir. I had to come home and I'm not in my office. If you'll
Okay,
read them,
well, it said number 5 says continue to place potential businesses, tenants with, well, it's an S on it, shouldn't have been an S on it. Continue to place potential business tenants with property owners. And number 7 is working on a potential marketing project with a facilitator. And yes,
All
sir,
right.
I'm sorry.
Number 5, we've continually done that since I've arrived here in town, where we're trying to match people who are looking for places to rent and opening businesses with people who own the property. You'll be happy to know that by March 1, we'll probably have another 4 new small businesses in town that open up. Well, 3 small ones and 1 medium-sized company. I'm not sure if you're aware of the industrial park, but Vanilla has opened up and they're a gaming company. They've been there for about 8 months. They're employing about 20 people, probably look to go to 20 more in the next year or so. They're growing. So yeah, we're having a lot of success. Now we have lost 2 businesses over the last year. They've moved elsewhere, but as far as new businesses, small businesses coming into town, we're very successful with that.
You said a gaming business, sir?
Well, it's they make electronic gaming boards that they sell all over the world. It's a pretty neat outfit. It's not a gaming, it's not gambling. It's a gaming deal where these kids play on the games.
I understand.
Yes.
I hadn't heard anything about it. I guess that's why I'm so surprised. I didn't know. Okay, well, okay. I just hadn't heard anything about that. Let me ask you this. The branding project that we're doing, is it open to our ETJ residents?
It's open to anyone. Now, understand, here's what's going on. That's number 7 that you discussed. And you're on that committee, which we're meeting on Wednesday night via Zoom. And the basis of the project is the 13 members come up with the branding committee, and then we forge ahead with a marketing program based on a different committee. Okay, so we'll be adding more committee members as we go along in the process. But the first part of it is branding.
Okay. I kind of got it confused with number 9 because number 7 says working on a potential marketing project with a facilitator, and number 9 says start the new branding project. Well, so they're kind of like combined and woven
together, and we're using the same facilitator. But they are separate, kind of a separate project, but one leads into the other.
Okay. I tell you, Mr. Denham, what I would like, and I don't know at what point you knew about the gaming business that you just mentioned, but for the benefit of commissioners, and I may just be speaking for myself, even though I don't think I am, when a business comes, I think we should be notified, and the reason for that is a lot of times we can be out someplace and the citizens tell us and or about something they're like we don't know what it's talking about, and that's kind of it's a bad reflection.
I totally agree, and I have a list of emails I sent to Mr. Harold. As you understand, there's a chain of command I have to follow. They were sent to him, and that's as far as I can go. I'll be glad. I know that Matt has a pretty good line of communication. I continue those every day. So, but what's been done in the past, they went to Mr. Harold's desk, and I can't comment on where they went further.
Were any other commissioners aware of the gaming business? Maybe just I didn't get the memo. Something.
No, and I think that what you said is
didn't know either.
Absolutely right. And Matt, we like anytime a new business opens and you get word on it, either through malware or whatever.
Yeah.
Business closed. You just mentioned we lost 2 businesses. Which businesses did we lose?
The Spice business on 2nd Street, I believe.
Where'd they go?
They went to Little Washington.
Little Washington. So
and then there was another. The bank obviously left town, as you know.
Okay, and we lost a taxidermy too, not too long ago.
That's the 3rd one. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I forgot about it.
So So to, not saying you have to do an email, Matt's here. What 3 new businesses came?
They're, as far as opening up, they're not open yet. We'll have a chiropractor in town. We're gonna have a new coffee company in town, and we're gonna have a small manufacturing company in town.
Where at?
Manufacturing what?
One of them I can't disclose at this point.
Okay.
That's a small manufacturing.
Okay.
The coffee company will be at the end of where your building is, Mr. Langley. Will be located there. She's out there. The chiropractor's going to be on West 3rd Street or 3rd Street.
I'll be happy to notify the board as soon as there's concrete knowledge that it's coming. There's no problems with that as soon as it's a definite thing.
And I will continue. I'll send emails to Matt. No worries.
Appreciate that.
Now, I will tell you that on the Vanilla situation, we helped market that building for that gentleman back in December without the year I got here. And they moved in like March of 2020. So it was all during COVID. So, you know, it just could have been missed, but they're a pretty nice organization to have in one of our industrial parks.
So what's the process on the bank building? Is that's just in flux right now?
As far as which bank?
The Whitehurst building?
Still in a holding pattern based on Miss Whitehurst and the gentleman that was putting together a project with her.
I actually can report something on that. I heard from Justin Malarkey about a day or two ago. You'll have to excuse the slight delay. We had a staff member lose her son in a car accident over the weekend, and I've been having COVID the last week. So we've been having locked out of our internet. So there's just been a lot going on. But Justin Malarkey sent me a message about 2 days ago, I believe, saying Miss Whitehurst wanted to reiterate to the town that she is interested in selling that building. She's anxious to do it. I believe last conversations we had as, you know, kind of a board probably a month or two ago, it seemed like given the investment that was going to take, y'all didn't seem like you really wanted to move forward too much with that. But I did tell him that I would reiterate that to you guys and tell him, you know, relay the message, so to speak. If there is any interest on the part of the board, I'll be happy to kind of play that part and be in the middle. But I did get that message while I was out with COVID a day or two ago. So.
And the investor that we had previously, that's been his problem. His family's gone through COVID from top to bottom. And he had a devastating loss of his mother, I think, in that. So that's kind of why we've not heard much from him in the last 60 days.
So the way I understand it, Mr. Dixon, is apparently that's not happening if you've been approached by, or you were approached by Sarah Whitehurst?
No. Justin Malarkey is like, I guess, the representative or the realtor.
Oh, okay. So
he's a random kind of unrequested email, probably, or unsolicited email about 2 days ago, being like, "Hey, just want to let you guys know, Miss Whitehurst is, you know, interested again, or she has some. She's trying to get rid of that."
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the department heads? Okay, the next item is board comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, sir. I missed one, Mr. Mayor. I am so sorry. I was looking for it. The one for our planning department. I see that we have, and I guess these are just the certificates. Does this kind of, should I look at this as some potential businesses for aid in here, or?
Yes, we report once we issue a zoning compliance. They're included in your reports each month. So as you'll see in this month's report, there is a note of a coffee shop at 4282 Lee Street.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one Mallory was speaking about. I think he also mentioned a chiropractor. That zoning compliance has been issued, but it was issued after the date of the report in your packet, so it'll show up in your monthly report next month. But we include those each month in those reports for your reference.
Okay, good deal. Appreciate you.
Any other questions?
I don't have
Going
any.
to the board comments, Mayor Pro Tem, your comment.
Yeah, our Coach Davis, illustrious Coach Davis, is doing quite well now. Things have changed for him. He was down at one point, and I'm grateful for the board members that knew and other people that knew. Grateful for the prayers. His wife has been in constant contact with me, and I'm grateful for that. And our coach, I can't give you a date that he'll be back with us, but I tell you what, he's made some tremendous strides here lately. And I also want to say this again about Black History Month. It's important. It may not be important to this little town like it would, or maybe a Charlotte or Greensboro somewhere, but what we do here, I guarantee you all, it makes us look good when we reach out and embrace instead of push. And I appreciate all that the town can do regarding making this a nice time period this month. Nice time period. Thank you.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for who joined in. And I talked to Coach today, and he did sound pretty good. Sounded kind of upbeat, but he said he was just so tired, and that comes with that disease, I understand, or that virus. Also, to set a record on time tonight, I love short meetings, so that's another good thing. That's all I have.
Thanks, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Goff?
Just to echo what everyone's saying, my prayers are out for Commissioner Davis. I know this virus is hitting people very hard, and I'm just really glad that he's seems to be on the mend, and we'll continue to pray for him. Also, just thanking everyone in the town for all the hard work that they're doing. I know that this is a town of which we can be proud of the work that the people are doing, and I personally appreciate it. I want everybody to stay safe.
Thanks, Commissioner Goff. Commissioner Langley?
And pretty much everything everyone else has said. And I want to thank all the department heads for all the hard work you guys are doing. And our town manager, we appreciate all the hard work you're doing. And everyone, just stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Langley. And my comments is, great that Commissioner Davis is getting better, and we'll continue the prayers of that. And with that said, the COVID is a virus that is very can affect people in many different ways, in a negative way. So again, you wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands. That's going to be the key as we continue. I know there's a lot of fatigue of the virus and people getting tired of it, but we're still not out of the woods yet. And I would encourage you, when the time comes to be vaccinated, get vaccinated. The vaccination is something that is very safe. I think literature, scientific data has shown that. And so to me, when you talk about medicine, you talk about risks and benefits. The risk of having the virus is more troublesome than the risk of getting a vaccination. And so the vaccination is a dose of hope. And I would encourage you, when the time comes to be vaccinated, to be vaccinated. It is very successful, no doubt. So with that said, we're going to go into closed session, and it is written in your packets. It's General Statutes 143-318.11A-6 to consider the qualification, competency, performance, character, fitness, condition, appointment, or condition of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge or grievance by or against an individual public officer of an employee. So that's the motion. What's the pleasure?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Voting on the motion, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Commissioner Goff.
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
So with that said,